has received names of sponsors of terrorism under Buhari. And could you believe Ali Kafi, a general that was unjustly dismissed under Buhari's regime, has flagged the former Attorney General of the Federation, Malami, as one of the alleged sponsors. A scary situation we find ourselves. They have also mentioned the former Chief of Army Staff, Buratai. Don't forget, Buratai said that the bandits will exist for 20 years. That if in 20 years Nigeria fails to defeat this Islamic jihadists, then it might be a sorry case for this Republic of Nigeria. Today, Nigeria pretends to be a secular state, but we all know that Nigeria today has leaned towards Sharia. There is no religion in Nigeria that is as powerful as Islam. If you look for an expedited promotion in Abuja, you have to be a Muslim. There are some particular places that if you want to enter, you have to convert. But why did Buhari allow all these things to happen under him? Why did Buhari allow Malami to go aggressively, brutally against every voice that rose up against the Islamic jihadist conquest agenda between the period of 2017, 2018 to 2022? It is clear with this expose that is coming out today, we can guess or postulate that maybe Buhari was in support of this. Oh yes, because I am afraid that a GOC, you know what a GOC means? A general in charge of operations and command in a state, can be locked for nothing less than 68 days. That's approximately 2 months and some days. Why? Because he simply submitted a letter that contained the names. In that list, to my shock, they said Emefiele was part of it. You know, the North are fond of looking for one sabo in the South. We go join their what? Their agenda. In October 1st, when they announced that Tinubu was supposed to be unalive through a military coup, and I don't know how Tinubu survived it, but he survived it. You know, they say that nobody can stop whose time has come. See, no matter what we will say against Tinubu, it is indeed the time of Tinubu to be the president. Because if he doesn't have that grace, if he doesn't have that blessing, it won't be there. Some of us have called him thief. Some of them have called him a political mandate thief, robber. But he's there. All right? So we can say somehow he has the blessing of the gods. But that is not even the crux of the matter. Look, listen. When they plotted the coup, a southerner, something Felix, we found his name there. Just one. Okay? This is what they have learned to perfect. So whenever the North are carrying out operations, they will find one idiot from the South and add him there. So that when they release the names, you will find one southerner. And that is what Emefiele represents. General Musa will be getting this list, I am sure. Because we know that when General Musa was ousted, and there's so many reports out there that Badaru, the disgraced former Minister of Defense, okay, a man who had no significant experience in military warfare, this is the past immediate Ministry of Defense, Badaru. There are reports out there that they said that the incidents that led to the dismissal, unprecedented retirement of General Musa as Chief of Defense Staff was when he made a statement that do not wait for order when you are confronting the enemy. During the time of Buratai, during the time of the former Chief of, I think Farouk, I can remember, before Lagbaja took over, a video was circulating. In fact, that video, watch that video. Welcome back. You can see that operation that you're watching there. Can you see that fight? That fight, they were telling that military officer, don't fire, cease your fire. He said, make I cease my fire. How now? Boko Haram, they approached me. This is how soldiers were led to their untimely death under the administration of that man that ruled for 8 years within the period of 2015 to 2023. There are so many cases that we heard that under the administration of Malami, Igboho was attacked, his human right was abused. Who was the offense of Igboho? Igboho came out initially. He called on the Nigerian government. People are invading our land. They are destroying our sacred forests. Fulani herders are encroaching our territories. This is not acceptable. Anybody that wants to graze his cattle should come and rent an open land. We will know that this is where you are. Nobody comes to any state that you want to do a business that you don't rent a shop. Whether you're a booker or you're into business of selling food, whether you're into business of selling clothes, you will just go into people's anywhere, and you can't just go anywhere and then say you're selling clothes there. All the remaining people will come to any state, they will rent a shop space, pay for it, fill a form, and they will start their business peacefully. So why is it that the Fulani herders, these were the basic complaints of Igbo, but that complaint fell on a deaf ears. People kept on dying in Igbo, in Ibarapa, along Okeogun axis in Oyo State, into Kwara. The same thing was happening in the southeast. Nnamdi Kanu came out, shouted, screamed, blah 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 blah. The Fulani Janjaweeds are killing my people, blah 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 blah. At the end of the day, the two of them became radicalized. Igboho took up arms. They started chasing out the bandits. They started chasing out the Fulani herders. And somehow it has been proven that the herders are directly linked with the bandits. Because people say that these herders are the ones that carry out reconnaissance. They carry out surveillance. They try and understand the pathway, the roadmaps of the community, which they tell or they go in collaboration with the attackers. Instead of Malami to say that, okay, Buhari, let us listen to these people's outcry, but rather they tag them as terrorists. The same thing was done to Nnamdi Kanu. Nnamdi Kanu unfortunately was arrested, and today he has been jailed life imprisonment. Igboho somehow ran away. Perhaps because Igboho, because in Buhari's administration there were Yorubas, there are significant Yorubas. Maybe he had a pre-information, so he fled. But he fled into Benin. Malami went to Benin, tried to extradite him back. Benin said, no, we'll leave him here, we'll charge him. Somehow, and I'm sure that Igboho's reason why he wasn't extradited was because Tinubu was involved. Yes, I suspect it because Tinubu has a very good relationship with the president of Benin. I suspect it. Benin Republic president were one of the first people that congratulated Tinubu when he became the president. So connecting the dots, you see what is going on. Tinubu is trying to unravel because Tinubu can be everything, but Tinubu is not a terrorist. Tinubu can be everything. Maybe we can link corruption cases. We can link what's it called? Looting, diversion of funds. All Nigerian politicians are like that. None of them is clean. Okay, maybe Shawari, because Shawari has not held any position. However, terrorism is not what we will say Tinubu is. Yes, because there's no records that Tinubu has come out to say words like the blood of the baboon will flow. They're not recorded as such. There are not records of where Tinubu has openly said he supports the Sharia. Buhari did it. Under this Tinubu administration, in fact, the Christian Middle Belt are the one in charge of the North. I dare say the Middle Belt are going to conquer the North if they take this job seriously. I can categorically tell you that if by 2027 we can see that so many of these terrorist sponsors have been apprehended, called, jailed, Let them go and face the consequences. Life imprisonment, nothing else, or death sentence. I can tell you General Musa can be nominated as the vice of Tinubu, because as we all know, there are plans to ban Sharia, there are plans to ban Isba. Therefore, the North will not support Tinubu. However, for Middle Belt to go for Tinubu, Tinubu can just pick General Musa as his vice. And if he does, the whole of Middle Belt will simply do one thing and one thing alone: aggressively vote for Tinubu. Can you see what is going on? Can you see the political games? If General Musa begin to expose these people, because we know that terrorism wouldn't have thrived this far, it wouldn't become a lucrative business after oil business in Nigeria today, if top politicians, particularly in the North, are not supporting it. Yes, terrorism would have thrived in Southwest when the OPC, when they went rogue. Terrorism would have thrived in the South, in the Niger Delta, when the militant emancipation of Niger Delta went rogue. But the top politicians in Southwest, the likes of Benga Daniel, the likes of this late man in Ondo, the likes of Tinubu, all of them sat together, call these people. Oh yeah, this is what you do, this is what you do. Let us give you this, let us give you this. Stop this thing. We want you to stop it. We know your house, we know it. Anything wants to happen, you are the one that will respond. And they mellowed. The same thing in the Southwest. When the likes of Edwin Clark, everybody called Asari Dokubo, they call of them to Polo, let them sit down. What this man simply did, Goodluck Jonathan, he was in that meeting with those guys, and they heard, okay, this is what we'll do. You people will be getting this. Let us watch this pipeline. This is what you do. And terrorism ended. You think if the North want to end terrorism in 1 year, they cannot? The likes of Shegumi and Co, wouldn't they call all those top bandit leaders? This is what we want. This is what this one. First of all, they will let them know Nigeria will not be Sharianized. That's one. But can Shegumi say that? Can the Sultan say that Nigeria will never be Sharianized? You see where the problem is. When the agenda of Boko Haram and ISWAP is to turn Nigeria to an Islamic republic. So the top leaders, the top politicians like the Isa Pantani, would they want Nigeria not at one point in time in the near future to be Sharianized? Can they come out and openly say with their full chest? Can you even imagine that in the State House of Assembly, a House of Rep from the South and the House of Rep from the North, they tell themselves, say, it was a serious battle. I want you to watch this video. Just up recently, how the issue of banning Sharia has turned the House of Rep house upside down, because the Southern reps are saying Nigeria will forever remain a secular state, or they will begin to call for secession of the South in its total entirety, including Middle Belt. Let's watch it together.
Mr. Speaker, our Constitution allows for freedom of worship of all religions. Mr. Speaker, we would not sit in this hollow chamber and restrict ourselves to just a few. If we begin to put such components into the Constitution, tomorrow the ecclesiastical faction comes up. The day after, the traditional faction comes up. The day after, all other components begin to come up. And what happens to our grand norm that is supposed to be the foundation of our existence? Mr. Speaker, Nigeria has never limited anybody from practicing his religion. You go to states like in the north, where you have Sharia being practiced as the criminal code for those states. It is because it's peculiar to them as a people and as a persons. By the time we begin to expand it and bring it into our constitution, we are not an Islamic state. We're a secular state. We're not a celestial state. We're a secular state. We are not a traditional worship state. We're a secular state that respects and gives everybody a sense of belonging. We're a nation. We need to be sensitive to the mood and the existence, freedom of speech, freedom of association, to live in happiness, not a scenario whereby there could be some misconceptions. To this end, I wish to crave the indulgence of the sponsor of this bill that he steps it down for more legislative input and consultation, which would be more in tune with our beliefs and the norms. But I do not believe it is a legislation that should pass for second reading. I so submit.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, my respected colleagues. I want to comment as the second to the last speaker spoke. In fact, the bill that was moved by the sponsor, we are supposed to commend him. I agree Nigeria is a secular state where we have different opinions, traditions, religion, and what have you. But if you see this motion or this bill, it will help Nigerians to know that these commercial banks, especially Taj Bank and what have you, many people have perceived that these banks are specifically for Muslims, while it is not. So by expanding this nature, I believe when it is encompasses to everybody, many people will see the benefit of this bill, and I believe in a near future, many people will see that the mover put this in a right direction. Thank you very much.
Honorable Kuye. I rise to add my voice to this all important motion for a bill to amend our constitution with respect to the expansion of the description of Islamic law. Let me start by saying that the constitution mandates our governments that they shall not adopt any religion as a state religion, meaning that Nigeria is a secular state. Number two is the fact that Section 38 is very clear as to the rights given to all Nigerians in terms of choice of religion and how they worship. Section 2 goes further to say that Nigeria is a federation consisting of the federal government and then the state governments, giving the states the liberality to adopt whatever kind of law they want to use in governing their people. And that's why we have some states with all this Sharia law and all of that. They are permitted to do it, the State House of Assembly. But the Constitution, as a ground norm that governs all of us, the traditional institutions, the Obas in the Yoruba land, the Igwe in the east, the Shakiri, the Fulanis, the Hausas, gives us only one right, the right to choose whichever one we want. We can therefore not allow this constitution to become so filled with frivolities that is supposed to be the mandate of the state. We have all been clamoring for physical federalism. Give more power to the states to do it the way they want, to do it in the way of the culture of their people. And that's why I will want to implore the mover of this motion to please allow us to please step down this amendment for the time being, so that we can